Warning, the Stone Age Gamer includes a lot of bad language. Cover your mother ears.
Good evening and welcome to the Stone Age Gamer Podcast. I'm Kris Randazzo and joining me tonight is not-so-universal media disc, Dan Ryan.
Aw, that really didn't work, did it?
No, they were not universal at all.
No.
It's time for the next Stone Age Starter Kit, and this time we're tackling the PSP. If you had $100 to start a physical PSP collection, which games should you get? Polish those beautiful screens, because the Stone Age Gamer Podcast starts now. Hi everyone, this is episode 457. It's the week of April 7th, 2023, and Dan, I made a new kind of pizza tonight that I think came out really well.
Did you make?
Karen and I, so last week we were trying to, we make pizza every week, and it's like, all right, well, I'm going to make our regulars, and then we usually do a specialty pie, but we've been doing it for quite a while now, and we've kind of run through a lot of the specialty things. We do the same ones over and over again.
Yeah,
and so she looked up.
There's kind of a limited amount that you can do,
right? Or at least so I thought. So she pops on the internet and is like, "Give me some ideas for pizza," and she's like, "Cheesesteak pizza." All right, and then she starts looking at the recipe, and I'm like, "That doesn't sound good." I was like, "No, that doesn't." But a cheesesteak pizza does sound good. So what we did was, well, I say we. I'm the one who makes the pizza, but what I did was I took steak for cheesesteak. Cook that all down, right?
Okay.
And then I did, Karen doesn't like green peppers, so I did red peppers and onions.
Because she's a monster?
I like green peppers, but only in certain scenarios. I genuinely like red peppers better than green peppers, just kind of like hands down. There are very few situations where I would rather have a green pepper than a red pepper, regardless.
Sure, but...
We did red pepper, I sauteed down some red pepper and some onions. I used pizza sauce because one of my favorite things is a pizza steak. I love getting a pizza steak.
Oh, pizza steak's good stuff, man.
Pizza steaks are good. So like the recipe that she was looking at, it's like, no, I don't use sauce. I'm like, no, bullshit. I'm using sauce because if I think of a cheesesteak, I usually slather that thing with ketchup. I love ketchup on a cheesesteak. Oh, love it to death. So I wanted some sort of red sauce involved, but I didn't want to go ketchup. And I wanted to still inherently be a pizza. So I want pizza sauce, steak all over it, onions, red pepper, mozzarella, and then provolone on top.
I like where your head's at. Yeah.
It was delicious. It was outstanding. I've gotten a lot better at the dough. In the last couple of weeks, it's all finally really started to come together with the dough. I've got the right... I feel like what I was messing up in the dough department as far as like the actual making it nice and light and fluffy and really good when it comes out of the oven is that I haven't been adding warm enough water when I'm mixing it. So I'm using warmer water than I used to, and that seems to be making the dough come out a lot nicer. Plus, I decided to start adding a tablespoon of powdered sugar into the mix. Okay. Because I think I mentioned it a few weeks ago when I was making pizza with my in-laws, and we didn't have any flour, so I wound up using, I made the dough ahead of time, and then I went there and like, oh shit, we don't have any flour, so I'm going to turn this out on the counter. We didn't have any flour, we had pancake mix. It's like, all right, fine, I'll use pancake mix. It's like
That's
flour.
flour?
And it had this, like, when the pizza came out, it had this sweetness to it. I was like, this is what's missing, some sort of sweetness. Like, this is too much, this is weird, but it's still tasty. So I've been, the last couple of weeks, been trying to like, throw brown sugar into the dough, and it's not really doing much, but that tablespoon of powdered sugar is just the right little tweak to it. It's just been, it's been great.
Katie decided that she had to make pizza because they are just so obsessed with Pizza Tower that she was like, I'm making pizza. And I was like, I mean, cool. I fucking love pizza. Let's do it. And it was really good. She like found a recipe because she's at the age right now where she is very, very obsessed with labels. She's trying to figure out what box she fits into. And because she's trying to figure out what box she fits into, everything is just labeled. And when she talks about shit, she's like, so somehow, you know, like, as I was going through TikTok, I'm now on Pizza Tower TikTok. And I was like, stop putting everything into a fucking box. Like, it's not, there are not separate sections of TikTok. This is your algorithm. Anyway, whatever. it's fine. It's fine. This is fine. Whatever. So like we're fucking doing this. She was like, I have to make pizza. And she's watching people on TikTok and they're making pizza. And like she found somebody was like, I'm going to share my pizza tower pizza crust recipe. And here you go. And that's what we fucking had. And we're walking around the store and Tiff is like, all right, so we've got the cheese, we've got the sauce, we've got all the stuff we need. Are we going to buy a crust? And I was like, why the fuck would we buy a crust? Katie's making the crust. And she was like, but what if it doesn't work? And I was like, oh, how very dare you. Have faith in your child. And we came home and it indeed worked. And she was so fucking proud of herself, which is awesome. Like, I was so happy to see her be like so very, very proud of herself that she wanted to make pizza and indeed did. And I would just love to like go point that out to, you know, the fucking video games lead to violence and misogyny and all of those. No, they lead to fucking pizza is what they lead to. That's what they do. It was really cool.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for her. Baking is great.
It is.
Love it. It's all. I love making food.
I can't do it at all. I'm so bad at it. I'm so very, very bad at it.
Well,
but
now you have people around you who can do it, so you don't have to.
That's right. No, I got what I can do. My buddy at work today, we were talking about, I have a couple days off this week coming up. So we were chatting about what we were going to do. And I was like, well, I got to go this weekend and I'm going to level out the yard. I got to go rent a rototiller because it's time to put the pool up and, you know, plant some seed in the back. And the dogs have just, my backyard is just dirt. It's just dirt now. It wasn't dirt when we bought the house, but it is indeed dirt.
I hear you. I got a spot that Naga's been digging that I'm going to be taken care of after this playground thing gets built this weekend.
Yeah, but like what sucks about the whole backyard being dirt is that we've had a lot of rain this past week, so it hasn't been dirt. It's been mud.
It's been mud, and that gets into your house.
Oh, and then it's just all over the house. It's just fucking everywhere. So I was like, fuck it. Over these next couple of days, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to level out a spot in the backyard for the pool, and I'm gonna rototill I'm gonna till the entire backyard, just the whole fucking thing, because the 3 patches of grass that are left. When I say patches, like
these little tufts, like Super Mario 2 style.
They
tufts.
are. That's it. I have 3 of them in the backyard. There's 3 little Super Mario 2 tufts of fucking. Like, I want to go pull them and see if there's a radish underneath that I could fucking throw at someone.
Pull a turnip with a face on it. It's going to be great.
Oh, my God. Throw it right at a dog for tearing up my backyard, you fucking prick. Fucking animals. God damn it. Because, like, that's the thing, listeners. Dogs are great. You should have dogs. You should get them from me if you can. Because I need to continue to pay my vet bill. But, you know, beyond that, like, I have fucking 6 dogs of my own. And the smallest one is 40 pounds. That's the small guy. He's like, oh, come here, you're so cute and little. You know? So I've got these 85, 90, 120 pound monsters just running around the backyard at full tilt, just like tear-assing and biting each other's ankles. It's just like, oh, God damn it. So anyway, talking to my buddy, I'm like, I'm going to fuck up my backyard this weekend. And he was like, I'll just bring you my rototiller, and you can keep it for as long as you want. And I was like, as long as I want? He was like, yeah, I've already done everything I need. I was like, well, because I'm going to fuck up my backyard. But, like, if I just have access to a rototiller, I might widen my driveway as well. We're gonna see what happens. So I've got this rototiller out in
the neighborhood.
I might just go next door and be like, you want some clover seed? Because I'm planting clover, so you're gonna get it anyway. You want me to just plant it back here for you?
No, I figured you were just gonna start annexing other people's property.
I might do that.
Get a bunch of Dan flags. Just start tilling.
I'll fucking replace Dave's Trump flag behind me. That's his real name too. I shouldn't fucking say that. But he's got a big Trump flag flying behind my house. I might go take that. I don't know. Replace it with a big Stone Age gamer flag. Or just a flag of me giving some thumbs up. Oh, God. I'm very excited, though, about the rototilling. Because I'm just going to go and fix it. My backyard was nice. And right now, it is a Travis Shamrockery. And it's
and it's gonna be a Travis Shamrockery.
That's
you're planting clovers.
Oh, let's see
show's over,
there.
Folks.
That's
it's not getting any better than that.
Tip you waitresses. Good God, no! It's just like it legitimately. Well, I didn't. When you came to my house, I did not take you out back. Like, let me show you the backyard. I didn't do that. There's a reason. It wasn't because that just wasn't on the tour of important things to look at. I didn't want you out there. It's fucking embarrassing.
It's fucking embarrassing.
It's just so that's what I got coming up this week. I am so focused on this project that I have not yet purchased the show, and it's been out for 2 days now, Chris.
Wowzers. That's impressive.
Because I know what will happen if I get that instead.
Instead is the word.
Yep. So
I can't wait to use my trencher.
Oh yes.
Look forward to that.
I'm gonna trench my entire fucking neighborhood. I'm so excited. Yeah. I'll trench this guy's yard. I'll trench that guy's yard.
I'm just gonna start trenching down the sidewalk till someone tells me to stop.
That's right. How long do you think that would take? I would bet longer than it should.
Probably.
Because
why
the first couple of people, the first couple of people that saw you would be like, I mean, there's no way he's just doing that, right? Somebody had to have asked him. He wouldn't. No. All right. No, he's still going. He's about a mile down.
That's happening.
Everybody's got a moat. It's fucking great. Oh,
all right, let's talk about some video games. We should talk about video games. You didn't do much gaming this week, right?
I did not. I've had a fucking hell of a week. I hit Infinite in Marvel Snap, like over the weekend and getting into the week. And I'm really fucking stoked about that because it turns out that once you hit Infinite and you can't drop in rank anymore for the season, and you start playing the game not worried about how many cubes you're going to lose or win, it's so much more fun. I'm just fucking playing with random decks, throwing shit together and being like, this didn't work. Well, whatever, doesn't matter. Zero repercussions for my decisions right now. And that's fucking awesome.
Nice.
It just it really goes to show that this game really does need a casual mode, right? Something, I just want to play the game. I don't want to have this added pressure, right? And I don't have to care about hitting the rank, but if it's there in front of me and there's this constant reminder of well, fuck, my opponent snapped. Now I'm going to fucking lose cubes if I lose this match. It's just a totally different mindset because I'm playing with decks that I would never use in a quote unquote competitive mode. Because while they're super fun to play, they're not very strong, and I win sometimes, but I lose far more often, but I don't care. And it's just fun right now. But that's only for 2 more days.
Then it all goes back to shit.
When the season starts over again, and now I gotta fucking grind my way back up to Infinite.
Yeah, it's similar. It's not really a similar situation, but you were just reminding me of the way it was announced today that there's the next wave of DLC for Vampire Survivors is dropping, I think next week. And the thing that was up on the website from Ponsel was all we've got good news and bad news. The bad news is your 100% complete save file is about to become just a save file.
Just a save file. Sorry, guys.
So that's exciting. Looking forward to that next week. jump back into Vampire Survivors for a little while. That'll be fun.
Fuck yeah.
Let's see. What do I got cooking? Still playing Metroid Dread. My second playthrough of Dread is reminding me of, I get into this situation where, modern things come out and I love them, and then I go back and like, oh boy, was I wrong? Because the internet's the internet, and like people hated Dread, people loved Dread, but there was people who were like, no, this is actually garbage. Just like Star Wars.
This is bad, and you should feel bad for liking it.
Everything new right now is awful. All the old stuff is way better than the new stuff, always. And nope, I fucking love Dread. This game's fucking great. I'm still enjoying the crap out of it. Just loving it. I can't remember any of the names of the areas in this game. But I just went through the water area and fought the giant squid, and that was an awesome boss fight.
Nice.
Got the speed booster. God, the game feels so good to play. Just the feel of this game is ridiculous. I'm just loving it. On the opposite side of the spectrum, I'm also still playing Kid Icarus Uprising, and the controls are still fucking terrible.
They have not, shockingly, gotten any better.
If anything, I'm getting worse at the game than I ever was. I'm not even fucking with any higher than level 3 difficulty at any point. And I just did I just did a stage where I'm trying to get the lightning chariot, and I was climbing up this tower to get the lightning chariot, and there's some like precision platforming. And it was the first, since I started doing this replay, it was the first time I ever considered just stopping. I was like, ugh, I know there's so much more good stuff past this, but I don't want to do this. I keep falling, and right at the end, this is just broken.
It's just not fun.
But then I got past it and it got right back to being good again. So
right,
phenomenal game. Really, really, just in desperate need of new controls. We're all excited to see the Mario movie. By the time this episode goes out, we will have seen the Mario movie. But we're all stoked for we've got our tickets and everything. Let's see. Oh, the other thing. So I got assigned to write the preview for the next Nintendo Force for Sea of Stars, which I'm really excited about.
Oh, that's
so
very
I decided
exciting.
to replay the demo. Because I played through it once as the guy, and I wanted to try it a second time as the girl and see if there was any noticeable difference. And there really isn't. It's just which character you're in direct control of. That was it. But playing through the demo again, I was like, well, this is still great. But I haven't played the Messenger in a long time.
Yeah.
So, you remember earlier this year when we were like, I'm gonna play Hades, I'm gonna play Dead Cells, I'm gonna concentrate on that backlog this year.
Yeah.
Nope. That shit's out the window. So, in addition to Uprising and Dread, I'm now replaying the Messenger because I just wanted to fuck with it for a minute, and
it just hooks you again.
Just got my hooks right. It's hooks right into me again. I just got past the writing in this game. I remembered it being genius. I just didn't remember quite how genius. Like, I couldn't remember what was in the cabinet. I remembered it being a really interesting thing. I remember what it was related to, but I just, the way that entire sequence plays out, when you open up the cabinet and you realize what the shopkeeper is, and you go through the whole thing where the guy comes in and has like the same conversations as that you had before, and then you open up, they make it fun of you because you've been carrying this map around the whole game with the scroll, and like could have been a Metroidvania the whole time, but now it's just it is so good. It's so good. Really, it's hard to wrap my head around how goddamn good this game was. Like, the Messenger is a freaking masterpiece. But I wanted to play through it again because I wanted to be more aware of that game's mythology, because it is tied to Sea of Stars, and I couldn't remember most of the story. I just remember I loved it. I couldn't remember most of the details, and I'm so curious how this game's going to tie into Sea of Stars, because the writing in the Messenger is so snarky, and the writing in the demo of Sea of Stars was definitely not. There's still a bit of a sense of humor in it, but it's a totally different feeling game, and the two musical references are like freaking me out. There are two specific musical references to Messenger soundtrack in the Sea of Stars demo. And one of them is there's a call to the final stage inside the music box is on the title screen. There's like a piece of that playing over the title screen. And then when your characters level up, it plays, I'm pretty sure it's one of the temple theme. I can't remember what the actual theme is. Can't remember where it plays in the game. But when you level up, it's a direct reference to another Messenger song. It's toward the end of the game. What the heck was that? It's not The Corrupted Past. I'm going to find it right now. There it is.
All right.
Beneath the Tides. Okay, so it's the Sunken Shrine stage. It's that song that plays when you level up. It's just a new version of it. It might not, probably doesn't mean anything.
Probably not. But it might.
It might. This game is so smart. That's the thing that really bugs me. The Messenger is so smart that I cannot imagine that whatever they're doing isn't somehow intentional for Sea of Stars. I'm so stoked for this game. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, man, I really hope it's awesome. I really hope it's awesome.
Because the only thing that's been like the actual game itself, I can already tell is great because the demo was great. The actual RPG mechanics are fun. It's well laid out. It looks great. It sounds great. The only thing that I have yet to see is what's the actual story. How attached to these characters am I going to get?
Right.
Because that was the
how
thing.
Attached do I need to be? Right. Like,
well, that was what made Chrono Trigger for me personally. Chrono Trigger was so special because I got so attached to the characters in the story. And Chrono Cross failed to do that for me because I didn't get attached to any of the characters. Like the story was interesting, but I wasn't really attached to any of the characters besides Kid. And to an extent, Sergei, I guess, but you didn't play through most of the game as him. You played as him as Lynx. And so, but the other characters in your party, there was freaking 40 of them. They were all interchangeable. So none of them made much of an impact on me. Unlike in Chrono Trigger, where every single character made an impact. That's what I need to know about Sea of Stars. What is this story? How does it all work? And how attached to the characters? Now, I'm very attached to the characters in the Messenger. Like that, every character you run into that game is interesting enough that I'm like, this is great. Sign me up for this. So I have faith that it's going to. But that's the only piece of the puzzle that is so far missing. You just can't do that in a demo. There's no way to do that in just a little demo.
There's just not enough time.
Exactly. And I'm glad that they didn't because I want it to happen organically. I almost didn't want to play the demo a second time because I was like, all right, I'm done. I just want to experience this from the get-go once the game comes out.
Yeah.
But, it is my job. Twist my arm.
Okay,
Poor
fine.
me.
I'll play the fucking thing.
Woe is me. So yeah, Sea of Stars looks freaking great. Let's see. There were two newsy things I wanted to mention. E3 being canceled.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. And
I mean,
I'm getting a little sick of, I mean, yes, it is and it isn't. I understand why it isn't a bummer. There's a certain degree of it being a bit of a bummer that's like, I wish E3 was relevant again. What makes it a bummer to me is the gloating that's coming from Jeff Keighley in Summer Game Fest.
Yeah, I didn't love that.
That's coming off a little gross, especially because nothing he has ever done is anywhere near what E3 was at its peak.
No, not even a little bit. And like, it's the best. It's possibly the best line that has ever been written, on this sort of topic, and with, of course, it comes from Aaron Sorkin, and of course, it comes from The West Wing, but I don't even remember the context of where Josh says it on the show, but he says, "They fell down, we didn't get taller."
Oh, I know that line. You're right. They fell down.
It's one of the greatest lines ever written. And it so perfectly captures that sort of unearned, braggadocious gloating that happens in a lot of these sorts of circumstances. Like, E3 fell down, Jeff, that you didn't get any better.
No, and he's not even offering...
You didn't get any taller.
What makes Summer Games Fest interesting is like... What reason E3 went away is because everyone's realizing, like, well, first off, video game retail is so much of a smaller part of the business. So you're not having this electronic entertainment expo to convince retailers to carry your products and all that stuff. Like, that was a big, as far as my understanding goes, that was a big part of why that whole thing exists in the first place. And Nintendo Directs start happening.
They're gonna carry your shit.
Yeah, and
you're good.
Some of them are, and then some of them even aren't. Like, go into a Target and look how small the Xbox section is. You know, it's ridiculous. They're tiny now, but that's where video game physical retail is. That's where that is, and that's E3. Having those giant presentations, spending the money on those giant presentations is no longer worthwhile for these companies to do it all together in one big physical location and show off other hot new things. It's just not worth it to them.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Especially considering the internet's here now. Nintendo Directs happened, and now everyone else is like, remember when Nintendo Directs first started happening, and then they did one for E3 one year, and it was like, oh, because the year before they like fucked up on stage, and Miyamoto's up there with a bunch of broken motion controls in Skyward Sword, and like, oh yeah, we don't have to do this. We can just
we can just make it work.
We can just make a presentation whenever we want. And I like that that everyone gathers together and does a thing around the same time of year, like gathering all that together, and like everyone's doing, like, there's going to be a state of play around there probably. Xbox will do a presentation. There's always a Nintendo Direct, and it was pretty spread out last year. But not terribly so. I'm hoping it's still in this like couple of week period where most of that stuff hits again this year, because I love that. That's what's exciting for somebody at home. But Summer Games Fest, that was the weakest of the bunch. You know, it's not entertaining to watch. It's all this hollow Game Awards stuff. It's just, that's my word for it. It's hollow, and that's why it doesn't excite me. And that's what's making me like particularly like itchy whenever Jeff Keighley is posting all these like, hey, Summer Game Fest isn't canceled this year. It's because you are aggregating what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
You know, and like Capcom was going to do this whether you're there or not. You're just slapping this label on it, and you're providing coverage. I'm not saying you're not doing work, but when you really boil that down to the basics, you're aggregating other people's shit. Yeah. What you're doing is not what E3 was, and the fact that you're pretending it is bullshit. Just like your Game Awards show is not the
IGN's
Oscars.
Coverage of E3 is what you're doing.
Yeah, basically.
Which is fine.
And IGN's got their own thing too.
But it is what it is. And there's
it's exactly the same thing with his awards show. It's just
there's something about him that just is disingenuous.
Certainly feels that way, and I'm not trying to be overly negative. I know I don't want to be that guy, and but he's the one. He's throwing stones right now, and like, Reed Pop's involved and took over E3 and was like, yeah, we're gonna make it a thing again. Never mind, we couldn't really pull that off. And like, having worked in comic books for a while, I remember various comic conventions being like, Reed Pop wasn't great. And okay, fine. E3's made a lot of mistakes, but like dancing on the grave of E3, you think back to E3 at its prime, like before COVID and before them accidentally doxing everyone, like they made a lot of mistakes. But E3
but it was like fucking Christmas.
Exactly. E3 was important, and dancing on its grave, like, I get why it's not here. Don't get me wrong. I get it. And like, I didn't think it was gonna claw. It's never gonna be what it used to be, because the world's not what it used to be. But dancing on its grave seems ridiculous to me.
It's just not cool. They fell down. You didn't get taller, you know, and nothing will ever be that again, because like we just said, like there's no it's unnecessary. It is just an unnecessary thing now. And if you really like, if you boil it down to like what it actually is it is a massive sunk cost for very little return, comparatively speaking. Like, think about how much money Sony spent, and I know this was at their own event, this wasn't E3, but whatever the fuck that God of War thing was that they did, we're like, we're going to go to a different place now. And then that was
E3 for
doing?
That was E3 a couple of years ago, where they did the whole thing. That was the last E3 that they did, where they were walked the audience from one place to another. And
how much did this fucking cost? For what?
Exactly. Ridiculousness.
Like, who saw that? Who saw that thing and went, I was on the fence about God of War, but man, this dude playing a sitar really fucking pushed me over the edge. Like,
see, but then you get the other side of the spectrum, where you have Nintendo's E3 showing, where they spent their money on making the game demo stations, just these wondrous playlands of incredible statues and sets and all that stuff, like transforming areas into Hyrule and whatnot. Like, that was the kind of spectacle that was awesome. But again, that was designed to get retailers hyped for your shit. And customers, obviously. But the goal was to get retailers hyped so that they could get their customers hyped. And that's just no longer necessary, because the games are sold directly, more or less. So, I don't know. That shit's rubbed me wrong. But the thing was, we got 10 solid minutes of Tears of the Kingdom gameplay, and now we know what the hook of Tears of the Kingdom is.
Tell me about the hook. That? No.
Oh.
I did not.
Didn't know.
Because you
didn't like Breath of the Wild all that much.
I didn't like Breath of the Wild, so it's not that I don't care. But I just, like, I don't care enough. It's fucking terrible. I don't care enough to have like been able. It didn't break through. I was in such a funk earlier this week, and so angry and upset about things that were going on.
That's
while also trying to get excited about the baseball season starting and just different stuff. Like, it just didn't work this week.
All right, that's fair. All right, so the hook of Tears of the Kingdom. First, they showed like one of his new abilities, which was we've seen it in trailers, but now it makes a little bit more sense of exactly what we're seeing. Is you can direct a single item to move back in time. So he's walking around and like, well, here's all these sky islands, which will definitely be called Skyrule, even if it's not official. People are going to call the islands floating above Hyrule Skyrule. Like, it's just going to happen. So here's these islands. How do we get to them? Oh, look, there's a meteor crashing down. So they climb up and go to the meteor, and they point this thing to it, then climb on top of it. They point his hand at it, and then the meteor itself starts rewinding backwards in time. If everything else is moving forward, you're just fine, but like that thing is going backwards in time, so it's going back up, and then you jump off it, and now you're on the Sky Island. So that's neat. I'm curious to see what else you can do with that. Like, will you be able to target enemies with that? So if something's running at you, you can target that to then start moving backwards to wherever it came from. Like, it's going to be interesting to see what the limits of that are.
Yeah.
The big thing is crafting. That's the big thing. And that, I have to imagine, is what they've been working on this whole time, because it seems incredibly open-ended and versatile. They showed some extremely basic examples of this. The first thing they did was they're on one of the sky islands. They picked up a stick and started fighting an enemy with it, and obviously weapon degradation happens. The stick breaks. Oh no. So then he goes and picks up another stick and starts fighting again. But this time, as that little thing comes up and says, your weapon's about to break, he goes into his menu, and was he went into the menu or found it on the ground? Either way, no, he found it on the ground. He ran over to a boulder, and you can fuse any two items together. So he fused a stick and a boulder, and just had a boulder on a stick. And then he went up and beat the shit out of this robot with a boulder on a stick. So then,
what I got now is boulder on a stick.
Then they go into arrows. Because again, you can fuse anything to anything. So he goes to his arrows, and he's trying to shoot some birds that are flying around. And first he goes to a leaf, and he makes a leaf arrow. He doesn't shoot it, so we don't know what it does. He's like, ta-da, now there's this leaf arrow. It's just this giant leaf sticks out of your arrow. No clue what it does. But then he switches over to, because you would get this stuff constantly in Breath of the Wild. You just get all these little things, and you could make some things out of them, make some food out of them, but you usually wound up in your pockets just like, a couple hundred eyeballs and bones and weird things.
Yeah.
Now all this stuff has a purpose. He attached Kris eyeballs to an arrow, and then he shot it, and it worked as a homing arrow because the arrow could see what it wanted to attack.
That's
he
cool.
Attached an ice element to an arrow, and then it became an ice arrow. He attached a exploding mushroom to a shield, and it looked stupid. It was like, look at this. This is ridiculous, right? What's it going to do? And that's the way he's saying it in the playthrough. Like, look at this thing. This is ridiculous. But then he goes and fights, and as soon as he blocks something with the shield, the mushroom explodes, and now there's fog everywhere. He went and found this long stick, and then attached another spear to the end of it, and he's walking around with this comedically long stick that he can poke things with. So that's crazy.
I mean,
the point of this seems to be that this is how you get around weapon degradation, because once that thing became weak, slap something onto it, your degradation starts over again. So if you've got a sword and you're beating the crap out of something and your sword's getting ready to break, just pause, attach a bat wing to it, and now you've got a new weapon. It's interesting. I think it's going to be fun, but I have a lot of questions.
It does sound interesting. Crafting is one of my very least favorite things to do in video games.
I am right there with you.
Kind of across the board. I don't enjoy it. Maybe because I've just never played one that did it well enough to, but that's not, I never, in the time that I enjoyed with Minecraft, it wasn't crafting new shit. It was using the God mode to build roller coasters. It wasn't,
yeah.
I just don't fucking like it at all.
I'm with you. I kind of enjoyed it in Animal Crossing. That's the closest I've ever come, but I feel like I'd still be happier without it.
Yeah.
The way that it's presented here is as an option. And that's what's making me very happy about it, because it's instantaneous. It's not like, okay, I need to figure out how to build a sword. It's like, well, I have this sword. I need something that's going to freeze something. Okay, well, I have this thing. What if I slap it onto this thing? Okay, cool. There, now I can do this thing. And then you move on with your life. But then again, we're talking about Breath of the Wild style thing where it's like, there's no one way to get from point A to point B. So it's like,
right.
The way it was presented was that it's giving you tools to do weird shit. You don't have to, but you can. And that was what gave me less pause than it being like, all right, this is going to be the focus. You have to figure out how to build these specific things, or you're just not going to get shit done. But it wasn't just with fusing those items together. You could also build your own rafts and stuff. Like you saw on that one trailer where he was riding this weird hover car thing. Yeah. And that's just, you can take things in your environment and stick them together. It's like you can grab them and then move them with the telekinesis kind of thing in from the previous game. But when you mash them near each other, this like goop sticks them together. So like he built a raft. There were a couple of logs laying around. So he put logs together. He put 3 logs together, dropped them in the water. He's like, cool, now I got a raft. But how am I going to make the raft move? So he found this like weird mechanical fan looking thing on the ground. So he moved the logs around and then attached these fan things to it. And then he had a motorboat that he just motorboated across a river. It's like, people are going to do
motorboating son of a bitch.
People are going to do some weird stuff with this game. It's like they saw what everyone figured out they could do in Breath of the Wild and said, that's neat. Now
let's let them do that.
Let's dive into that. And this is where I'm concerned, because when looking at how well this crafting thing worked and knowing how Nintendo is probably approaching this, there's no doubt in my mind that all of these delays have come from them trying everything they possibly can and making sure it all works and nothing breaks the game. Because that's one of my biggest problems with Minecraft. John still plays Minecraft a lot.
Yeah.
When he can. Because half the time the game just fucking breaks. And it's so frustrating where he's like, all right, dude, you got a half an hour to play video games. And 15 minutes of that half hour is just trying to get the game to boot up.
Yeah.
Because the game's held together with like copper wire and duct tape. It's barely functional because it's not well made. It's a great idea and it's got a lot of stuff in it, but at its core, it's garbage.
How could it be well made? Like the level of freedom that they allow necessitates a certain level of bullshit as well.
It does.
Because you can't control all of it.
I think given what Minecraft is, given how popular it is, it could function with the right tools. If they put the effort into it, I'm sure it could. But they keep adding new stuff to it instead of fixing what's already there. Instead of making the core thing work as well as it possibly can, they're like, new shit, new stuff, keep piling it on. So like there's the marketplace, right? So John, well, I can buy this, cool, so I'm going to buy this mod, and now this mod doesn't work. Oh, this mod broke this other thing. Well, this works for 5 minutes, but now this thing doesn't work. Like none of it's all
super
Wild
frustrating.
West. That's just, it kind of works, but it kind of doesn't. And what I'm seeing in Tears of the Kingdom is that they took something like that and they said, we're going to make sure every single thing we can think of works. Yeah. And that's years.
That's daunting at best.
My concern is that they spent all their time doing this, and whatever Tears of the Kingdom is as a game, because we still don't know anything about it, is not going to be all that exciting for those of us who played the garbage out of Breath of the Wild, because it is the same map. It's the exact same Hyrule. Yeah.
Okay.
You're right back in the same Hyrule. It's later, and in the trailer you see certain things like ruins from the first game are now half-built buildings. Like the world has moved on. All the shrines are gone, all the towers are gone, because that stuff was tied to the story of the first game. So there are clearly some differences. Another thing they showed off in the trailer was an ability you have to like go through ceilings.
Okay.
If you are anywhere that has a ceiling, has a roof that you can stand on, you can use this ability to just shoot through the roof.
To just go through it?
Just go through it. So climbing mountains, if there's a cave at the bottom of that mountain, you don't have to worry about climbing this giant mountain. You can just zip up to the top of it. Which is very cool, because that was a complaint that a lot of people had, was with the stamina of the game. Like, well, I need to build up stamina so that I can get to these different areas, and it's kind of obnoxious to run out of stamina all the time. So they're clearly addressing these concerns in unconventional ways. The weapon degradation, addressing that with crafting, just slapping weird stuff onto your weapons. I didn't see that coming. That's an interesting approach. But how does it work? How else does it? How do regular weapon degradations work? Because they only showed a stick. Of course, a stick's going to break. That's I have no question about that. Are swords still going to be made of paper mache? Like, is a sword going to break after using it for 5 minutes, or did they address that, and is weapon degradation going to take longer? We still don't know. We still don't know the story. We still don't know if there's dungeons.
Weird,
like,
man.
I have so many questions. It's super weird. It's not at all what I expected. And I'm afraid that they spent all this time focusing on the crafting stuff, which is neat. I can't wait to see what other people do with it, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for the story, the dungeons, the puzzles. That's what I'm here for. And I'm starting to get afraid that I'm going to buy this game and I'm not going to like it.
If I wanted to make shit, I would go make shit. I don't want to make shit. I want you to have made it and me to play it.
I'm all about making shit that I could never make in real life. Like, here's the thing. Here's what really sold me on it is as he's doing the arrow thing, he's scrolling through his inventory and he almost makes a meat arrow. And I want to know what the meat arrow does.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it does sound neat, but
does it sound like a Zelda game? You know, like, does it sound like what I want out of a Zelda game?
I'm less interested in it than I was now.
And that doesn't surprise me, because I get, Breath of the Wild was not your bag, and I don't imagine...
It was, yeah.
I don't imagine this is going to fix that. But then again, I was kind of afraid Breath of the Wild wasn't going to be my thing either, because I don't typically like open world games.
Sure.
And then that game ruled my life for months. So while I'm watching this, not trailer, I'm watching this gameplay footage, and it's the same music, it's the same map, it's the same enemies, it's the same sound effects. Like, what's new in this game besides this crafting stuff? I know there's something because I've seen trailers, right? I know there's something, but if it's really just that, like, are there going to be proper dungeons in this game? Because that's a game changer for me. I thought the shrines thing was awesome, but for one game, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
Like, I'll do it in that game. If I replay Breath of the Wild, I'll play that again. But what I want are the big, convoluted, crazy, puzzly dungeons that the Zelda series is known for. I want an interesting story. Breath of the Wild had a really interesting story for me. We've seen nothing in this except for that first trailer. There was some corpse that could be Ganon of some flavor, and now there's a bunch of floating islands. How many floating islands are there? Is it just like the sky in Skyward Sword, which is just like, here's a bunch of rocks, there's nothing on them, but have fun? Or is it like the sea in Wind Waker, where there's something interesting to discover all over the place?
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
Huh.
That's all. Of course I'm buying it.
Yeah.
Of course I'm buying it. But
right, obviously.
I have some concerns.
Yeah, man, that really does, like, that makes me less excited than I was. And I was not very excited because it's just not my... I just didn't love it. I haven't loved a Zelda game in a very long time. And
Link Between Worlds, right?
Yeah. Like, I want to. I really do. I really, really do. But it's just not the type of game that I like. It's not what I want to do with my time. The other stuff, like the fucking weapon degradation is just... I fucking hate it. I hate it so much. I get it. I do. I just hate it.
I just want them to tweak it, right? I liked that. I was okay with the fact that nothing lasted forever because it forced me to be creative when doing combat, and I liked that about that game. Yeah. My problem was how fast it was. It should have taken at least twice as long for that to happen, because the game is, at the very least, enormous. At the very least, twice as much, if not more. Like, it's a sword. If I went and beat a mountain with the sword and it broke fairly quickly, sure. Because I'm beating rocks with a sword. That makes sense. But, like, just fighting moblins and stuff, and then all of a sudden my sword explodes, like...
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't buy that. I'm not buying what you're selling. I understand why you did it so that I can mess with other weapons and learn other weapons and be more well-rounded and experience more of what the game has to offer. And I thought that was a neat idea, but it's got to be slower. If it's going to be in there, it's got to be slower. It's just not
fun.
Exactly.
It's not fun.
The moment when it happens, and there were a few moments when it would happen in the middle of a fight, and it'd be like, all right, this is going to crack, and then I'm going to move on to this weapon. There's like coming up with a game plan, almost like playing a turn-based RPG. Sure. The problem was that it was too much. If that's an every now and then thing, a once in a blue moon thing, I do think that adds a fun level of tension. It's like running out of ammo in a Resident Evil game. It's like there's a degree of tension to that, where it's like this resource management, if done properly, can add to fun, right? Because it's part of what makes battle more intense, is like not knowing if you have enough ammunition left. Again, not knowing if you have enough power left in your items here. There's merit to that. But the way it was presented in Breath of the Wild was so far in the wrong direction that instead of it adding to intensity, it became a chore. And that's what, if they can nail that, where they can be like, okay, these things won't last forever, but they will last as long as you would expect something made of metal to last. Instead of it just being like, it's probably more glass than metal at this point. Like that's what removed the fun factor from it, because the fighting in the games was really fun. I liked the combat system, and I liked the way the combat system worked with the various weapons, and that was cool to have to switch between the different weapons. But the problem was it was just too goddamn much. So if they can nail that, which I'm afraid that they didn't, but if they did, if their answer was quite simply like, well, start crafting stuff, I'm going to be pretty upset about it. But I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, because Breath of the Wild knocked my socks off. We should take ourselves a break.
I really want it to be great for everybody. I really do, because like Zelda is not the most important thing in the world to me. Certainly like it was in the past, but I know for some people, like a new Zelda game is just, it's a major event. It's a major event. When they suck, it really sucks.
I haven't been properly. The only mainline one I properly dislike is Majora's Mask. That's the only one that I don't like.
Sure.
And, don't like is kind of strong. I feel like it could. We've had that conversation. But I've enjoyed my time with every mainline Zelda game. Sure. Except the handheld ones that I haven't gone through. But those are, they're mainline ones, but not the big console ones. You know what I mean? Like Minish Cap didn't get the same fanfare as Wind Waker. So
sure.
The fact that this was billed, like the whole point of this being reusing the map of Breath of the Wild was that they could turn it around quickly, right? That was the whole point. They were going to pull a Majora's Mask and be like, all right, well, we're going to take all these assets from the last game that was a huge success, and we're going to flip them around and turn it into something else cool. That's a great idea, except it's been 6 goddamn years.
Yeah.
This is not a quick turnaround. You've bitten off a huge chunk, and now the question is this going to be Majora's Mask, or is this going to be Mario Galaxy 2? And I'm really hoping it's Galaxy 2, because that was largely you reused assets from Galaxy, but it was a freaking masterpiece. They took everything Galaxy did and just made it better. Now, if Tears of the Kingdom can pull that off, it'll be something truly special. So I don't know. We'll see.
Let's fucking hope so, man. Let's fucking go.
That's where I'm at. So we're going to take ourselves a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the PlayStation Portable, the system that I cannot believe did not do better than it did.
For real.
It did well. Granted, the Vita is an even worse situation, where it's like, how do you look at that system and say, why was this not way better?
Yeah.
Regardless, we'll burn that bridge when we get there. We're going to do a PSP Starter Kit. You're listening to the Stone Age Gamer podcast from Geekade.com. Stick around. Hi everyone, Kris here. Podcast listening is free, but podcast creation is not. That's why the Geekade Patreon exists. In an effort to help us pay the bills, we've got a Patreon page set up where you can gain access to our monthly podcast topic schedule, get early access to many of our shows, and more. If you'd like to help support Geekade and keep these shows running week after week, head over to the Geekade Patreon page, linked in the show notes of this very podcast. And now, here's a quick look at some of the other original content available now from our partners and Geekade.com.
On with the chlorophyll. First up, Kris, turtles. They're fucking great. I mean,
you're not wrong.
Has there ever been a time where you've come across a turtle and you're like, man, this just ruins my day? I had saw fucking turtles. God, no, every time you see a turtle, you're like, oh shit, look at that turtle.
You know, that's not entirely true. One time when I was a kid, my neighbor and I had a lemonade stand. Yeah, that's right. We did a lemonade stand. We're having a good old time.
And a duck walked up to the lemonade stand.
And he said to us, no, we're having the lemonade stand.
Yeah.
Having a grand old time, right? Then we see a turtle walking across the street. He's got his head up. He said he's having a good time. He's like, oh, look, there's a turtle across the street. And then a pickup truck squashed the fucker.
Oh,
just
man.
zoomed right on by and murdered it. And
okay, but
there's no way that truck didn't see that turtle. That truck was just an asshole. And now there's a dead turtle.
Points.
We were just looking at it like, oh, this is so great. Splosh. So no, the turtle, I guess the turtle didn't personally... The turtle's death ruined my day.
Sure,
which was clearly not the worst thing of the entire situation. But I was not happy to see a dead turtle that day.
Notice that I said you never see a turtle and go, oh man, that sucks. I would...
That is exactly what happened. I saw the dead turtle and said, oh man, that sucks.
No. I said you never see a turtle.
You didn't specify if I
did, I thought that was implied. Because, it would be a really weird thing.
Wrong. Dan, this is America. Nothing's implied.
It would be really weird if I was like, you've never seen a dead turtle and been like, oh man, that ruins my day. You're always super excited when you see. No. Anyway, regardless, dead turtles, live turtles, they're fucking great. We all know it, but aren't they better? What's better than a dead turtle? A ninja turtle beating the crap out of one another.
Mm-hmm. Nailed it.
Well, man, this commercial's come off. I'm sorry, boys. This commercial's come off the rails. That's what Konami thought when they saw the Street Fighter craze and decided to capitalize on it with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle brand, which is honestly still a great fucking idea. How did this particular game pan out, though? Well, Greg and Joe dive deep to discuss the joys of the Ninja Turtles pummeling one another in 16 bits because the NES version was the dead turtle that Kris saw. The NES version was the turtle run over by the pickup truck. However, you should not miss the SNES podcast, episode 207, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters.
I'm sorry. I just got distracted by the fact that my favorite taco place, my favorite Cheeto Burrito is my local store. And I just got hit by an ad that said that they're doing the Bira tacos, the ones that are dipped in that sauce. And
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Let's fucking go. I'm on the way.
This.
I'm on the way. I'm already there. I'm halfway there. Hold on. Let me unzip.
This is... Wow. Okay. All right. Back in.
Next,
in,
said Jesus.
Have you ever wondered what my basement looks like? Well, good news.
I've been there.
You have been there. You've been inside. Well, good news. I put it on the internet. On an all-new episode of Stone Age Gaming, I finally decided to make a game room tour video because I've been putting it off for way too long. If you've ever read any of my Creating a Game Room series over on the Stone Age Gamer blog, some of this may seem familiar, but seeing it all in one place is, well, kind of fun. Is it the best game room ever? Absolutely not. Except that arcade unit you guys made me. But yeah, I do welcome the internet telling me how not special my stuff is, apparently. So head on over to the Stone Age Gamer YouTube channel and check out Stone Age Gaming 2023 Game Room Tour. And please be nice. I tried.
Aw, are people being mean?
Well, I don't know. It hasn't posted yet.
Oh, okay.
This is the future. I just assume that I'm going to post this and there's going to be like, why are you showing me this? Why would I want to see this? This is stupid. I have more games than you. You suck. You're terrible. You should feel bad about everything.
You got a couple rare games, but you don't have... You got Air Fighters on Super Nintendo, but you don't have the arcade cabinet, you fucking nerd.
Yeah, loser.
Loser.
That's what I'm expecting. Dan, I'm looking at I cannot scroll past this picture of these tacos. I can't do it.
Dude. I got some weird fetishes, man. I support them, and I hope you're happy, but... Man... Do it.
I will be when I get out the Cheeto burrito.
Yeah, all right.
If I can drive out there tomorrow, I freaking will.
Okay. I want you to. I want you to be happy, Kris.
I will be.
I want you to have these tacos
are in my mouth.
Speaking of food, Kris, just as a quick diversion, I saw a post on Instagram, like 2 months ago, of somebody being like, so apparently Cheerios, which I don't love. I don't dislike Cheerios, but like, does anybody love just like regular Cheerios? Like, that's the best fucking cereal ever? Like, no, right? But Cheerios does a lot of like wacky variations, and some are really good. Like the chocolate strawberry Cheerios are really good. The chocolate peanut butter ones are good. Honey Nut Cheerios, classic, whatever. But they do a ton of different types of Cheerios. And I saw this post, and they were like, lemon frosted Cheerios are coming out soon. And I was like, fuck. That sounds like a thing I could super duper get behind. Because like lemon pastry, like that lemon curd kind of lemon donuts, like I fucking love that shit. It's one of my favorite things in the world, right? So I am a proud member of Team Cereal. I fucking love cereal. It's one of my favorite things in the world. And I am subscribed to the cereal subreddit. And I follow a couple cereal people on Instagram. And the closest it's gotten to us so far is people are reporting that they found it in Virginia. And this is months after the initial post, Kris. And all I want is lemon frosted Cheerios in my mouth. Much the same way that you want this taco. Except I can't just go get it tomorrow, because every time I go to ShopRite or Target or Acme or fuck wherever, I am just filled with disappointment because I have not found lemon frosted Cheerios yet.
I will keep my eyes peeled for you, sir.
God damn it. I love cereal. And a lemon cereal, like, doesn't that sound amazing? Like a lemon frosted fucking thing?
It kind of does. Like, that doesn't really...
Doesn't it?
I'm not much of a Cheerios guy either, but I'm thinking of, like, lemon bars, but in cereal form. And, like...
Like, with like a glass of milk? Because that's how you have... Because initially, like, the initial thought is, like, citrus and dairy. Whoa. What? But...
No, that's good. Lemon
that's good
frosting,
stuff.
Like, yeah.
Whatever. It's just... Fuck. Finally, these shops are closed, Kris. They just...
You're goddamn right they are, and it sucks.
They were just like, fuck it. You don't get to buy these. You guys, you see how this is still making money for us? Fuck it. We don't want your money anymore. So, like, there is now no way to legally obtain a, frankly, astonishing number of outstanding games. One such game was an unassuming puzzle game from Nintendo's defunct DSiWare service called Pictobits. It was clever, it was fun, it had great music. And that's why Kris and Matt decided to spend some quality time disseminating said music for your fucking ear holes. If that sounds like a good time, and it should, don't miss Waveback episode 161, Art Style Pictobits.
That was a lot of fun. We recorded that just earlier today, as a matter of fact, and listening to Matt.
You're podcast cheating on me?
This is my third show today, Dan.
You fucking whore.
I'm
You
so tired.
absolute whore.
That's why you love it.
I do. I like you a little used. I'm not gonna lie. I like you a little rough around the edges when you get to me.
This soundtrack gets progressively more intense as it goes, and listening to Matt, just watching Matt learn about this soundtrack as we go was really spectacular. So it was a good episode. I'm pretty proud of it. And for all this and more from us and our partners, be sure to keep your eyes and ears and various other extremities on geekade.com.
Keep your bits all over us.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Okay, welcome back. It is time for the PSP Starter Kit. We put forth the premise: if you had $100 to start a physical PSP collection, what would be the best bang for your buck? What would be the games that you should start with? Now, presuming you already have the system and any sort of hardware that is necessary, memory cards, chargers, screen protectors, walrus protectors, whatever you need.
The little extra handheld bits that make it more comfortable to hold. I had one of those when I played through God of War. It was a fucking lifesaver.
Good times were had by all. So we're just talking about how do you get the most game out of your $100. We're not looking complete. Something I didn't know when I made my list was that apparently the PSP was region free. So my list probably could be better.
I don't know. Mine is all North American games too. Because I kind of I know we do the region free stuff sometimes, but it feels like kind of a cheat. Because, yes, we could do the region free stuff, but we're an American based show, factoring in import prices from eBay, it just doesn't make it as realistic for us as it would be. You know what I mean? If you're an American collector, getting import PSP games are going to necessarily jack the prices up a little bit.
Yeah, and
so it's not 100% honest.
Yeah, I'm fine with it in some cases. There was one thing, for example, I know we've cheated in the past, but there was a 2-in-1 pack listed on price charting for an obscenely low amount of money. Then I just looked it up on eBay. I was like, yeah, I can't do this. This because they was going for $50. It's well, that's what this is worth. I did not do it. I know exactly what you're talking about. Then I
did one of them. I did two of them, but I'm pretty sure I know which one is probably
so we
more.
have a bunch from our listeners. We'll read those after we do ours. Dan, you start us off. What do you got?
All right. Well, the first game on my list, a game that I'm shocked. And I think we'll say that for a lot of the games on the PSP of why isn't this anywhere else? But that would be the greatest hits, not for resale version, apparently, of Daxter for $8.
Mm-hmm.
Daxter, of the Jack and Daxter flavor, is Jack and Daxter games are really cool. They went through a really interesting evolution as the series went on. And Daxter is a really cool little sidekick character. And the PSP did this a couple of times where they took famous sidekicks and gave them their own game. And Daxter is really awesome. There's a lot of so this game came out in 2006, and there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek kind of references to movies of the time and movies that were a little bit older, but there's a very Raiders of the Lost Ark section, and there's a very Enter the Matrix kind of section, and it's this is just really fucking cool. And it's a 3D platformer action game. It's really, really solid. It looks outstanding. It does have some of the collectathon stuff of like a Banjo and Kazooie, not a ton of it. But Daxter is awesome.
Yeah, I thought about putting that one on the list, but I didn't have a lot of experience with it. And this is also, I guess, just a blanket statement about my list. I don't have a ton of experience with the PSP. I've enjoyed the games that I have for it. I have a decent amount of knowledge of the system, but there's probably a lot of good stuff on here that I'm missing. And Daxter was something I looked at, and I was like, okay, almost made the list, but didn't quite make the cut.
Quite a good system. All right, well, what do you got first?
My first game is readily available elsewhere, but not this specific version as far as I know. It's one that I played a little bit of on PSP, would like to play more of, but the music was great, and it is Lemmings for $5.
All right.
There are not a lot of good portable versions of Lemmings. There was a Game Boy one, there was a Game Gear one, it's fine, but this is a pretty solid version of Lemmings, something as powerful as the PSP, and I love Lemmings. It's a great handheld game. It works well in widescreen, looks very nice on the PSP's gorgeous screen, and it's $5. Lemmings. Catch it.
Yeah, I mean, I am not going to argue with you, but you know my feelings on Lemmings.
I do.
I'm sure it was a great version, though. The PSP, like, before
Lemming
we get...
flavored Cheerios is not what you're after.
No, I mean, I might be. Maybe I'll like them more. I don't know. Before we get any deeper into this, if you don't have a ton of experience with the PSP, it is a legitimately great system. There's a lot of really, really good stuff on this system that is worth your time. It's worth your attention. And shockingly enough, like now my list only has 9 games on it, mostly because of the next game I'm going to mention. But it's a really affordable system to collect for.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, one of the more expensive games in the catalog, but it's just so damn good. We talked about it a little bit a few weeks ago when we talked about Ragnarok, but that would be the $32 God of War Ghost of Sparta.
Ooh, beefy one. Yeah, it didn't make the cut just because of the price for me personally, but yeah.
It's so big. But it is it's not the best game on the PSP. I don't think I would put it probably as like the second best game on the PSP, because it took everything that the first God of War game on PSP did, which was Chains of Olympus.
I believe that is correct.
Chains of Olympus, which is an excellent game. It is an excellent game, and it is much cheaper than this. But Ghost of Sparta is just really, really fucking good. It's really good. The story was really cool. The puzzles were really cool. There's some really cool areas that you go through. It's portable God of War. You had to have one of the two, and for my money, like for my $32, this is the one to get. Mostly because I was able to fill out enough of my list with other stuff. Like, there is an argument to be made that the much cheaper God of War Chains of Olympus is maybe where you should start. I think this one's better. It's really good. God of War.
I didn't play it. I thought about Chains of Olympus on my list, but I made a call, and that wasn't it. I'm sorry.
I am fascinated to see where your list goes from here then.
It's just all sports games.
My list is 48 games long. I think you should get MLB The Show 07, 09, skip 10, skip 8, get 11, 12, and 13.
Not just 15 copies of the one. Next up on my list, which I feel is part of your list, this is half of a double pack that I saw that I just couldn't justify because the price was like, this was like that box version of Four Swords Adventures that we found was like,
yeah,
that can't be real. So instead of doing that cheat again, I decided to like just be reasonable. And I went with Loco Roco for $7.
I will mention Loco Roco later.
I have no doubt that you will. There is a theoretical double pack, I'm pretty sure, is on Dan's list. That's Loco Roco and another wonderful game. But I decided against using that particular cheat, but Loco Roco has to be there because unlike God of War, Loco Roco is a very distinctly PSP thing. PSP was wonderful for some strange little games, and Loco Roco was pretty magnificent. I didn't spend nearly enough time with it.
It's a great little game. None.
I never finished it, and therefore I never played the sequel, which I bought day one, but that didn't play. So, jackass.
You are indeed
Loco Roco is wonderful. You're this weird little round thing, and you just kind of shift the world around you to roll around, and it's got a great personality. It's very weird PlayStation, which is my favorite kind of PlayStation.
It's very honest. Sony. It's very Sony Japan. Yeah. It's one of those games that is, if like you spend a couple minutes with it, and it's impossible to hate it. It may not be your favorite game of all time, but there's no way you can play this game and be like, well, this is fucking stupid. Like, it's just joyful and wonderful. Yeah. And we'll talk about it maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
When we get to it. Well, I'm going to stay before the L's. I'm not quite there yet. And I'm going to go with the $2 Hot Shots Golf Open Tee Greatest Hits. Because Hot Shots Golf is fucking great, and it's $2.
Yeah, kind of hard to argue with that price.
And all my prices again, because I've made the conscious effort to do it this year. As we're going through this, these are accurate as of the day of the recording. According to price charting, it was $2. So how can you not have that on a list?
It's
Hot Shots Golf. Like, it's great.
It's offensively cheap.
Right, isn't it? And there's a sequel, like Open T2. It's better, but like that's like $6. It's not that much better for the purposes of this list.
Yeah, for where you're starting. Yeah.
Yeah. If you've never played a Hot Shots Golf game, what is wrong with you? Like, one, how did you find our show? Because I don't think, like, unless you're the friend of somebody who like works with either us or our significant others, I feel like most of our audience has played a Hot Shots Golf game. But if you never have, it is such a wonderfully simplified golf experience, and golf works incredibly well as a video game. Dreadful to watch on television. It's a dreadful sport to watch on television. And it's challenging to play. It's a very hard sport to play, but video game golf, out of control.
It can indeed be fun. That's a good call. I didn't make that call, but I appreciate that you did.
That shocks me, honestly.
Yeah, never got
Textbook
into
of God.
The Hot Shots games.
I know.
I should have.
Also shocks me that that's not like one of your favorite things. Whatever.
I tell you what, it is one of my favorite things. For $17, Mega Man Powered Up.
Not the next on my list. That was the next on my list. But yeah, that has to be there.
Yeah, it's only on the PSP. It's really
never been everywhere anywhere
game.
Else.
Yeah, it's a remake of Mega Man 1 where you can play as the boss characters. It's got weird chibi graphics that work remarkably well. It's got voice acting that works remarkably well. It's a wonderful game.
It's such a clever reinvention of that first Mega Man game. Introduces 2 new bosses. I mean, and we talked about it quite a bit on our Mega Man ranking episode, just how much we love this game. But it's just great. It's just really, really great. There's a 2-pack of this and Maverick Hunter X, which was kind of like they tried to do a similar, not chibi style thing with Maverick Hunter, or with Mega Man
polygonal
X.
remake of Mega Man X, which I didn't care for.
And it's just not, and it's like $25, and it's not a bad usage of $25, but really the star of the show there is Powered Up. It's just so
I agree.
Great.
Yeah, I wish I liked Maverick Hunter more than I did, but I've gone back to it several times to be like, well, maybe I'm just being a dick.
You're not.
It just doesn't have the same magic to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I gotta be honest. I am also really shocked that the next game on my list is not on your list. For the grand total of $6, Luminous.
Yeah, I thought about that one.
Like it is to the PSP what Tetris was to the Game Boy. It is a launch title puzzle game that is still fun to play today.
I don't know why that game's never connected with me. I've tried it a bunch because everyone was talking about like, oh, it's the best. It's such a good puzzle game. It's like, all right, cool. I'll pick this up. So I picked it up and I was like, what am I missing here? It's fine, but
it's block matching.
It's never grabbed me. I don't know why.
It's got these really weird, like it's super psychedelic.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's got a lot of like trippy light stuff going on and like trippy visuals in the background. I don't know. It's really fucking cool. I don't like it as much as Tetris. Certainly, like when I say that it is to the PSP as Tetris is to the Game Boy, like please don't mistake me by saying Luminous is as good as Tetris. It is not, but it is a very, very, very good puzzle game, and it's $6, and you should definitely have it.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you.
Please don't. It's going to make this show way longer.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've noticed, but I am running out of gas.
Yep.
Next on my list this is my most expensive one. For $23, I figured it was very important to have one of them. And this is, if memory served right, this I think was the best cohesive one. And that is Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker.
Yep, that is the next game on my list, except the limited edition Peace Walker is only $19. As of today.
Son of a bitch. I have the limited edition Peace Walker. The bandana and everything. It's worth so much less than I paid for it. I should have just bought the regular edition and moved on with my life.
I
had to get the fancy special edition.
Sure. No. This is, in my opinion, the best game on the PSP.
It's pretty damn good. Again, this was one of those games where I was buying every Metal Gear game under the hopes that I was eventually going to play every Metal Gear game, and
yeah,
obviously that didn't happen. But I did futz around with this one a bit, and I was like, boy, I can't wait to get to this one, but I got to play these other ones first, and then I never did because I'm a jackass.
Yeah, it's really good. There's a lot of I want to say that there were a lot of risks taken with Peace Walker. But then I remember Metal Gear Acid and Acid 2 exist. So risk feels like the wrong word. Because those games, holy shit, were they not what I was expecting?
Those games are bananas.
Oh my, they're so fucking weird. Anyway.
I tried so hard to figure out that first Metal Gear Acid game. It's like, all right, it's some weird card game, but you know what? I like Metal Gear. I'm going to figure this out. I could not wrap my head around what was going on in the story, I couldn't wrap my head around any of it. So
yeah, it's weird. No, like what Peace Walker does is it puts you in charge of like a lot of like resource management stuff where you're running Mother Base and you're training soldiers, and there's almost like a game within the game where you are just kind of in charge of growing your forces, right, as Big Boss and whatever. And it's just really, really good. The rest of the game plays out like a super solid, Metal Gear Solid, a Metal Gear Solid game. with all the stealth and like stuff that you're accustomed to. But like when you play through Metal Gear Solid 4, you're like, oh, I see where all this came from. If you've played Peace Walk, it's really, really good.
Cool. So I guess I should go again.
I mean, yeah, that was, I don't know, is the next
Pon Patapon for $8. I'm sure this was connected to your Loco Roco one. This is a weird game. These little black stick figure things that move around to the rhythm. It's been so long since I played it. I couldn't even explain to you what it was anymore. It was weird. I remember really liking it and also being like, this is very specifically PSP. I couldn't not put Patapon on the list. So boom, Patapon.
No, Patapon's great. And yes, you are correct. There is a Patapon and Loco Roco dual pack that apparently price charting says, and that's what we've used this entire time, so that's what I'm going to keep using. They said it was only $5 for those two. And I went, that's not fucking real. But whatever. I saw it, and that's what I'm doing. If you could get Patapon and Loco Roco for $5, you've got two of the most unique, original, interesting games that exist on the PSP.
Spoiler, you cannot. It goes for like $40 to $50.
That is not what it fucking says on price charting.
That's true, and those are the rules.
Those are the rules that we came up with 2 years ago, so I'm not fucking changing them now. Now, Patapon's just this really weird, like, puzzle platformer that's also kind of a rhythm game, sort of, but, like, you're in charge of the rhythm, and these little weird stick figure dudes, like, charge, and they Patapon. Like, it's so fucking weird. It's such a cool game. And it, very similarly to Loco Roco, like, it's impossible to hate this game. It may not be your jam, but it's impossible to hate it. You can, as soon as you put it on, there's such love and care, and, like, there's such a joy that you can just feel emanating from that game. It's outstanding. All right, well, fuck you. I'm going next, since you took you took 3 of mine in a row. For $5, the greatest hits version of the other Sidekick game that Sony released, and that would be Secret Agent Clank.
Huh.
Is that on your list?
No, I forgot this game existed.
Oh, that's a shame. Ratchet and Clank is great. It's a great series that has had some really, really great games, and then some more like, oh my god, there's another fucking Ratchet and Clank game? Okay, that's fine, I guess. Secret Agent Clank does not really fall into that trap. It is, it does play out very similarly to how a Ratchet and Clank game would play out. There's lots of like ridiculously over-the-top weapons and goofy gadgets and just weird shit. If like it's almost like a really weird Inspector Gadget game. Like if Inspector Gadget were a little bit more murderous, that's what Secret Agent Clank would be. It's a 3D action platformer. It's super solid. Ratchet does show up in the game. Captain Quark is in the game. It's just really good. It's a really good game.
Yeah, completely forgot this existed.
I feel like you would love it.
Huh. Maybe someday I will.
Yeah.
But before that, I'll be playing Space Invaders Extreme for $7. Space Invaders Extreme is so good, and it was wonderful on the DS. It's also wonderful on the PSP. It's wonderful on any platform you get it for. But this is one of those really great handheld games that I think the PSP's gorgeous screen really does a justice to that the DS one couldn't. So just, Space Invaders Extreme is awesome, and I highly recommend it for the PSP. Is it the best choice in the world? Probably not. Like I said, I don't know the PSP well enough, but I will say that you can't go wrong with $7 for Space Invaders Extreme because it's a great freaking game.
No, I definitely thought about it. I had it on my list originally and took it off because it is a really, really good version of Space Invaders. But I was kind of waffling. because the last game on my list is $6, and that put me at $100 even. And if I kept Space Invaders, I would have to take something else more. It just didn't work for me, because the last game that I have on my list is also a 2-pack, where apparently for $6 you can get SOCOM Fireteam Bravo, which is fine, but also Siphon Filter Dark Mirror. And the Siphon Filter games that are on the PSP are fucking standing games. I love Siphon Filter. I love the Siphon Filter games. And they got a little wonky, and I feel like Dark Mirror was kind of a course correction, where it made it a much more streamlined story, a lot easier to follow. Most of the focus is on Gabe, but you do get to play as some of the other special agents as well in like brief sections. It is, at that time you had Metal Gear going on, you had Splinter Cell, and you had Siphon Filter. And I always felt like Splinter Cell and Siphon Filter were much more closely related than Metal Gear, because that's just such its own weird animal with its story and all of that. And I always preferred Siphon Filter to Splinter Cell. I like the character, I like the world. The game looks great. It plays really, really well on the PSP. Like, they dialed in the fucking controls, because those little thumbsticks were kind of hard to get used to. But they really, really nailed the way this game feels. And then you also get SOCOM Fireteam Bravo, which is a fine shooter. It's fine. Yeah.
Wow. So that was the last one, huh?
That's the last one on my list.
Oh, crap. I got 2 more.
Well, I know, but you took a bunch of mine.
I did. I'm a thief.
You fucking
All right. So this one I'm kind of surprised isn't on your list. For $14, Street Fighter Alpha 3 Max. This is quite possibly it's one of the best versions of Street Fighter Alpha 3. It's got more characters than any other version.
Yeah.
It's ridiculously cool. The only drawback to this game is that it is only on PSP. There's no way to play it on a TV with 2 players at the same time. Not realistically anyway.
Right.
But even so, it's like it's Street Fighter Alpha 3, which is such a good game, and the fact that it's this crazy exclusive version with new characters in it is like, holy cow, it's great. Love it to death. Love it to tears.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's just one of those things, like, the reason I cut it from my list is because that is not how I want to play Street Fighter.
I agree. It's not how I want to play Street Fighter either, but it is the only way to play Street Fighter Alpha 3 with these characters. And therefore, I just think it's wonderful. I think it's a great pick. And my last one is for $18. It'll give me a list of 99 total. Is Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins.
Also, just missed my list. It's great,
tough as nails.
Yeah,
but it's a really good Ghosts and Goblins game. I think I like. It's been a long time since I played it, but I think I like this one more than the most recent Ghosts and Goblins game. I still don't think anything beats Super Ghouls and Ghosts, but Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins was cool when it was that you start playing and it's like, oh man, I have so much more maneuverability. I'm going to blow through this game. And then it's like, oh, but they also upped the difficulty even more to make up for the fact that Arthur is so much more capable. So, but it's got a really good checkpoint system. It's more forgiving in like a modern sense, and that makes the game more playable, not easier. And I really appreciate that about this game. Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins is great.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's a really, really solid game.
Things that didn't make my list: Castlevania Dracula X Chronicles for $26.
Yep.
Power Stone Collection for $29. Yep. Crush for $10 almost made my list.
I don't know that game at all.
Oh, really?
I know of it. I just don't. I've never played it.
It's pretty good. It was this when I was thinking about puzzle games. It's like I should get one puzzle game on there, and it should be Luminous. Everybody likes Luminous, but Crush, that's a good one. I should do that. But even Crush isn't really a traditional puzzle game. It's more like a puzzle game similar to something like Loco Roco or Patapon.
Sure.
Where it's like you're a dude and you have to, move tiles, or you switch between 2D and 3D. I can't remember exactly how the mechanics work, but it was a neat game. And of course, Parappa the Rapper for $16.
Yeah, really good version of Parappa the Rapper as well. Things that, in addition to what you said that missed my list, the limited edition Death Jr. for $8. Not the greatest game in the world, but it was unique and original to PlayStation Portable at the time. And it's cool and quirky. I like it. Field Commander, which was Sony's attempt to answer Advance Wars. So it plays out very similarly, but it's realistic. And I think that is what killed it. Not the graphics like being more realistic and whatever, but the cover in particular is like soldiers, like looking off into the distance. And the game had so much more personality than that. But just a ton of people didn't play it. It's a really bad cover choice, I think. And they didn't they didn't go far enough towards Advance Wars, because it is definitely a clone. Like, there's no question. But it's really good. It's $6. Final Fantasy Tactics: The War of the Lions is like an update to Final Fantasy Tactics on the PlayStation. That's $13. It's a really, really good version of that game. And like, it was hard to cut because I really love Final Fantasy Tactics, but I felt strongly enough about Ghost of Sparta to keep that off. If I did this a month from now, I might put Chains of Olympus and like one or two of these other games on there. And then the last one you didn't mention yet, definitely not the best version of it, but $10, Me and My Katamari. I will take portable Katamari Damacy kind of whenever I can.
Yeah, I wanted even like that
not
more
the
than
best
I did.
version. Sure,
Yeah.
It's not the best version of that game, but it is still Katamari. It's still fun,
Yeah, it didn't click with me because the lack of two analog sticks. The PSP only had the one, and it didn't feel right to me. Not a bad choice, but yeah, that's why it didn't make my cut.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. We've got a couple to read through from our various listeners over on the Discord server. We have from Trashman, God of War Chains of Olympus, PAL version for $10. If you can only get one game for the system, this should be it. Luminous, PAL version, $3. If you could get only two games for the PSP, you better get this after God of War. Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, PAL version for $18. Story-wise, this takes place after the PS2 games. I don't know how they did it, but this game seems to be larger than Snake Eater. Then they upped the
It's like 35 hours long. It's crazy.
It's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
And they upped the ante and gave you the option to knock out missions via co-op and allowed up to 3 people to join when fighting bosses. Absolutely stellar. Dracula X Chronicles for $26. Remake of Rondo of Blood with 3D graphics. Kind of got a lot of love and hate on release for its rearranged music. But hey, if you don't like that, you can unlock the original PC Engine release and choose English or Japanese voices. Symphony of the Night is also unlockable. Resistance Retribution PAL version for $4.
That's a cool game.
Insanely well-polished FPS that seemed to fly under the radar for most. Shockingly good online multiplayer with multiple modes of play. If you have a PS3 and a copy of Resistance 2, you can use a PS3 controller in the game as well. Neat. Pixel Junk Monsters Deluxe for $4. One of the better tower defense games. Takes the original and adds the DLC. Now portable. Gradius Collection for $18. Comes with Gradius 1 through 4, which is not a terrible value. However, there is one more game included, the only stateside release of Gradius Gaiden, the best game in the entire franchise.
Yeah.
Mega Man Powered Up for $17, the chibi version of the original Mega Man, new Robot Masters and remixed levels, catchy new music, or play with the original soundtrack if you want. Saves, custom level editor, and other quality of life improvements as well. You can play as the Robot Masters after you defeat them. Total $100. Also some cuts, Power Stone Collection, Knights of the Nightmare, Crisis Core, and Armored Hunter Groundhound EX. All right, who's next? We've got Duroc Pig. Duroc Pig got us something called Smart Bomb. Never heard of that one. Smart Bomb for $2.40. Wipeout Pure for $4.16. Good one. N+. Oh, God, N+. How did I not think of that one? N Plus for $5.48. It's a great pull. Pursuit Force, $5.55. Patapon Greatest Hits, $5.94. Loco Roco, $6.96. Daxter Greatest Hits, $9.45. Afterburner Black Falcon, that's a solid game too. I forgot about that one. $10.73. Jeez, I played that once in my store and was like, wow, it's a new Afterburner. This is great. Street Fighter Alpha 3 Max, Mega Man Powered Up, and Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins for $99.94. Nice.
That's not bad.
Chronodin, you got Final Fantasy IV, the Complete Collection Essentials, PAL version for $23. Starting off with a pricey one, but this collection is a really fantastic remaster of one of my favorite games of all time. The graphics are great and it feels good to play. If you're an RPG fan, especially Final Fantasy games, totally worth it. Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core PAL version for $8. Sorry, there's a fair amount of Final Fantasy on this list because I'm me, but Crisis Core is a solid game. $8 is a great price.
Yeah, Crisis Core is really good.
Final Fantasy Dissidia for $7. More Final Fantasy, but at least this one's a fighting game, and it's only $7. Final Fantasy Tactics, War of the Lions for $13. Okay, in my defense, each of these Final Fantasy games has been a totally different style of game, and Tactics is one of the greatest games in the genre of all time, maybe top spot, and I had room for this port, so here it is. God of War Chains of Olympus, PAL for $7. $7 for Portable God of War, enough said. $6 for Little Big Planet, PAL version, $5. Cute game and only $5. Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, PAL, for $9. I never actually played this one, but hey, it's a good price, and the portable Metal Gear Solid. Good call. Ratchet & Clank Size Matters, Greatest Hits, not for resale, for $3. I didn't even know this game existed, but it's $3. Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together for $22. Might actually
that's a really
like this
good game.
Tactics game better than Final Fantasy Tactics. It's really good and absolutely worth the more expensive price. Hot Shots Golf Open Tee, Greatest Hits for $2. I Had the Room, and $2 is a no-brainer. That's $99. Good list. Good list.
That is good.
It looks like that's
somebody.
It.
Nobody. The other one I cut, I just remembered. Fucking Soul Calibur.
Oh yeah,
Broken Destiny.
Who was this? Was this the one
Kratos?
With Kratos, that's right.
You can play as Kratos in Soul Calibur, and it's not. It is definitely not the best Soul Calibur ever made, but you can fucking play in Kratos. Like,
yeah, I played this one.
It's good.
Huh.
It's
cool.
good. Yeah, but it's like $24 or $23 or something like that.
Well, there you go, folks, ladies and or gentlemen. That's our PSP Starter Kit.
Or neither. How fucking dare you?
No, that's our show. Join us next week. We will be covering the next letter in the Alphabet Super Series, B. It was Dan's pick, and we went with Batman: Return of the Joker, or Return of the Joker.
Joker, I believe is how it's pronounced.
That next movie is going to be weird. The NES version, because this is also on Genesis, but we picked the Genesis. He picked the Genesis. He picked the NES version, not the Genesis version. Come on, words, come out of my mouth. We're on most social media platforms, and if you want to get in touch with us, we aren't very difficult to find. All it takes is a quick look at our show notes, and you'll see links to our social media accounts, as well as all manner of other fun stuff, like a link to our namesake, StoneAgeGamer.com, and more useful links than you can shake a joystick at. If you'd like to get early access to this show's episodes, as well as a bevy of other shows on the Geekade Podcast Network, check out our Patreon, also linked to in the show notes. It helps keep this show running week after week, and all our patrons are loved and appreciated. This show's theme song, Squared Roots, was written by Banjo Guy Ollie. You can learn all about his wonderful music and more by following the link to his YouTube channel, also in the show notes. And finally, as always, we'd like to thank our intrepid editor, Evan, for making this show listenable for all you folks, and we'd like to thank all you folks for listening in the first place. That is it, everyone. Thanks for listening again on behalf of Dan and myself. Keep playing games.